Well, again, I'd like to say hello to all our listeners in entrepreneurial land. My name is JDavis. I am host of Radio Entrepreneurs. I'm also chairman of the board of Mage LLC. Hard to believe, a management consulting firm in the Boston area since 1985. Although some of my press says even earlier, hard to believe. Our next guest, Priyansha Bagaria, CEO and founder of Loopr AI. Is that correct?
That's correct.
You know, you have such an interesting background. The company, what you're doing is interesting. Could you just tell our listeners about, first of all, what the company does, and then a little bit about your background?
Yeah. Thank you so much, Jeffrey, for having me today. So,
Pleasure.
yeah, Looper, we basically help manufacturers and aerospace companies automate their manual processes, derive insights, and thereby help them save cost. This is what we believe in. So bring efficiency, make the process more better processes in place, really utilizing the insights that data can bring for the company. Now, my background, I was the fourth generation entrepreneur in my family business of manufacturing. So manufacturing is something that I've been born and brought up in that environment, and I've lived in that my whole life. Like I remember most of my summer vacations used to be spending time on the factory floor, learning the processes and really, living and breathing that environment. And so some of the use cases that we see today that we're trying to solve through Looper for manufacturers is something that I personally struggled with while I was part of my family business. So, I've been on the other side, being the consumer of the technology. And now the idea was, how do I make technology so affordable and so easy for any business, right? Like any business of any size to be able to implement it quickly and, and get them the most value. So that really led me start Looper.
Uh, have you worked outside of your family business as well?
Yes, so I did my master's from Europe, and I was working in Amsterdam for some of the big companies, Fortune 500 companies over there. So I have the experience of working in family business environment, big corporate companies, and then also was part of a AI consulting startup before really starting my own company. So very, very different experiences all around different
So
companies.
when you went back to your family business, I assume you brought ideas from outside the company?
Yeah, so I did my computer science engineering. Now, from computer science engineering, I went to really help my dad on the business development side. So I was responsible for sales and marketing. Now, the biggest challenge with sales is when you send a product to a customer and the product gets rejected. That's like a nightmare. And that's when you're like, hey, what can we do to make sure that, the quality of the product remains the best? It just gives value to the customer. And having that computer science background, it was really about, how do I find the solution? The challenge at that point was that, any solution you look for, and I'm talking about 6, 7 years back, it would cost you easily $100,000 to $200,000, even for them to speak to you. Now that's a lot of money. And I remember I went to my dad and he's like, "Oh, please go out of the door." What the heck are you talking about? Right. So it was really about that's when the idea came in. And then when I went to do my MBA, I realized it's a problem. It's a challenge across every company, no matter how big or small they are. And that let me start working on really productizing my product. And because of the AI consulting company, I really try to bring in my expertise over there and productize that to really make it very affordable and easily accessible for companies.
Did you find that you had a lot of resistance when you brought new ideas?
In my family business, um,
Yes.
so my dad was super, super supportive, but technology is something which is not so welcome. It's not so easy for any manufacturer to understand, on that level. And like I said, he was open to the idea, but not open to the cost that comes with that idea. So I think the challenge was really on the cost of implementation, or how easy it was to implement. So those kind of issues and challenges.
And you're not just an entrepreneur within your family business. You've also been an entrepreneur outside of your family business as well. So you've done it both inside and out, correct?
Yes, yes. And I would say for me, the biggest role model in making me be today where I am is my father. Like I've learned so much from him. He was my mentor while I was working for him. And now, that really shaped me to really start my company at a young age and be that, be the CEO, be the person who can guide other people in the company and who they can look up to.
Interesting. Is it a very competitive field that you're in?
It is. So there's a big wave of AI that's going on right now. We all know everybody, you mention AI anywhere, and it's just, the funny part is, I don't even know how many people understand what AI really does, but everybody is definitely talking about AI at this point. For our field, I think that manufacturing has always been, traditional businesses like manufacturing, aerospace, agriculture, these have been very slow in adopting new technology because that's not something, which comes to them very naturally. And so there were a lot of apprehensions early on from companies if they really want to try it out. But I think with time, right, like now, and with all these, how far we have come with technology, that people, they've started seeing value, and it has opened up the market. This It's just like this, the pie is so big, there's a piece for everybody, is what I feel. There's so much, because the adoption has been still really, really slow in the industry that we operate, that even though there can be a lot of players, but if you have a differentiator, you still have so much you can do in this industry.
I like that attitude, and it's an attitude that I've tried to adopt earlier in my career, and that is that cannibalizing within an industry creates a competition, which I think is unhealthy. And I think cooperation between people within an industry, that you're right, the pie is big enough for all of us if we could learn to become better and elevate each other. So
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of that, and no time for competition within my own skill set. And I think that is an important part. Do you see a lot of changes going on in the next 3 years within your industry? I mean, you say AI, we don't understand it really, but AI is probably is going to affect us more than anything else in the next 3 to 5 years. So what kind of changes should we expect? Do you tell people that we should expect?
Yeah, so I think the process is right. Like some of the use cases that we're focusing on is quality inspection. So, working with med device companies who make these very critical, precise parts, and that needs to go through a lot of checks. Now, we want to, imagine a person looking at this part under a microscope, like hundreds of these parts in a day. I don't think me and you would like to do that job. So what we're trying to do is make their life easy, right? Like they don't need to. So AI, what I feel is people are worried that they're going to lose their jobs, or there's not this AI. What I feel is really going to help you do your job better. That's what I would like to put it out there. That, it's going to help you in becoming more efficient, faster, better. These are the three things that comes to my mind when we think about it. It's going to impact every part of our life. So one of the use now, supply chain, like in manufacturing, supply chain is a big issue. So really about having a complete control of what's there in your inventory. You don't have to manually go check. You don't have to have those shutdowns, lose on your production. All of those things, it can be a huge impact. So I feel all the repetitive tasks that used to be done there's going to be a lot of impact over there by AI. And it's just that how do we take it? If you ask me, I just feel like if you start using it today, you need to jump on the train when it's about to leave, and then otherwise you're going to left behind. And it's the time when every company has to technology is the future, and they need to come in and they need to get into it sooner or faster, because I mean change is the evolution. I mean, it's the integral part of our life, right? Like there's no way you can, so you
I
need to adopt the change and move.
I like your optimism. It's nice. It's a nice change. Before we go, because we have a little bit of time, I also have heard that you're also very committed to female empowerment. Can you spend a minute on that for us?
Yeah, so I come from a small town in India. I got lucky because, I had very supportive parents and, my dad had a good business. So I had access to all those resources and needs, and I could make all my way to US and really start my own company. But not everybody is so privileged in their life. And the idea is to really, how do you open the doors and give access to resources, which is not just meant for a certain part of the society, but it should be easily accessible for everybody. And that's when, I currently, with some of the work that we do through Loopr, we try to employ women, to do some of those jobs who don't have access to really, big outside home, like they don't have the privilege to work outside home. So then they get to work from their house, in their comfort and still make money to live an independent life. And so we're trying to give, open those doors of opportunities for underprivileged women across.
Well, if somebody wanted to get hold of you, learn more about all these different subjects that you're involved with, if they want to learn more about the company, how would they find you?
So you can reach out to us through www.looper.ai. That's our website. Through LinkedIn, you can follow us on LinkedIn as well. Looper AI is our channel name, page name, and then you can find me as well, and you can reach out to me anytime. We have a team of 15, so there's a lot of people, who'll be happy to answer, or if you have any questions about AI, they'll be more than happy to, give you ideas of how you can implement it for your business.
And will you come back and talk to us again as things change?
Yeah, well, I would love to. This has been great. Thank you so much, Jeffrey. This was
Thank you.
very exciting.
I want to remind everybody that this is Radio Entrepreneurs. Thanks for being on the show today.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.